Raiders versus Dolphins Sunday, early window in Miami. It's the one away game sandwiched between back-to-back home games before, back-to-back home games after, and then we end the season on back-to-back away games. But it's the one away game in between, which is what you want to do if you're going East Coast, right? You want it to be a nice little all right, we don't want to be on the road forever if we're going to go all the way to East Coast. And if we are going to the East Coast, you want good weather, which is great. We're in Miami. We talked about at the beginning of the season, wow, our away schedule is pretty nice. The East Coast, cold weather games are either early in the season or they're in stadium or they're in domes. We don't have this crazy back-to-back Eastern Standard Time games. And the Raiders didn't fly out early like planned against Antonio Pierce being like, hey, stay with your families, being that kind of guy. I would say the Dolphins are the third best team we'll play this season behind the Chiefs and Bills. And they're minus 12 favorites. 12-point favorites. This isn't the Texas Tech Raiders versus an SEC team. This is the Las Vegas Raiders versus another NFL team. The Dolphins are 12-point favorites.
The level of disrespect.
Huge spread. Now, this is the thing. We know the story in the Dolphins, right? They're 6-0 versus teams under 500. They score over 24 points per game. They're 0-3 against teams that are 500 or over. And Tua has been sacked at least 3 times in each one of those games. So I know you're doing the math in your head on which one are the Raiders. Neither. We're right in the middle. This is the little litmus test, right? Can we know the Dolphins destroy bad teams and they lose to good teams. How are they going to do against an average team? The odds makers think they'll do pretty well as 12-point favorites.
Yeah, I think what the odds makers are banking on is for the Dolphins to get out to an early lead and force the Raiders to play in a shootout, which is not their game.
Yeah.
That's the main thing is we got to keep it close. There's certain things that they do well that we defend well. Mm-hmm. And this team is all about big chunk plays. Mm-hmm. Dolphins are all about huge chunk plays. And we defend that pretty well. We don't allow a lot of big chunk plays.
So believe it or not, statistically, not matchups, not X's and O's, statistically, the nerds and the nerdery with their nerd calculators, we match up really well against the Dolphins. Purely statistically, like you mentioned. We're tied for 4th in giving up explosive passing plays. We've only given up 22 passes of 20 yards or more, which is great. This is a pretty good team about not giving up big plays. The Raiders defense is only giving up 198 yards per game passing. That's 8th. We're darn good against the pass. We can get to Tua. Maxx Crosby is a game where he can eat. Their offense versus our defense, statistically, are in pretty decent shape. Now, matchups in X's and O's, it gets a little different. We don't have anybody that can contain Tyree Hill.
Or Jalen Waddle, for that matter.
Or Jalen Waddle. Right? They have 2 wide receivers that we don't have a single guy on our defense. It's like, okay, he's got him. Not even close. And then, not only that,
I'm starting to get a headache.
It's gonna.
If you're gonna talk about running backs, I'm gonna get a headache.
The migraine's about to hit.
Ugh.
Take your Tylenol now. Take your Midol for the cramps. Raheem Mostert averages 5.6 yards per carry. He has 11 touchdowns. Devon Achane, he's been injured. He might be back on Sunday. He averages 12 yards per carry. He's at 115 yards per game, and he had 5 touchdowns already. I think in just 3 games. I think he just played 3 games. He's already put up all those insane numbers. He was limited in practice on Wednesday. So even though the passing game is the strength of the Dolphins, if we squint our eyes and just look at numbers, we're like, okay, maybe our passing defense can hold up to Tua and company. You could be blind and see that the Raiders will have their hands full in the run game, even if Achane doesn't come back.
Where are you getting the R from? You say Achane.
Achane.
Yeah.
As we're the Raiders, and I'm saying,
arr. It's their running attack is gives me a stomach ache thinking about it.
It gives me diarrhea.
Because they and it's not just stuff on the outsides either. They have good plays running between the tackles as well, and they know how to get the ball out in space. They know how to create numbers and a player number advantage to attack certain parts of your defense. They know what they're doing. Mike McDaniel is truly an offensive guru. He was the run game coordinator at San Francisco.
Josh McDaniels, when he starts filling out resumes, to take the S out of his last name and be like, yeah, Mike McDaniel, I'm his cousin. Just like pretend he's a McDaniel and then a McDaniels.
Yeah, dude, it's
start dressing like a little kid, start like shave his head, start trying to be cool. Like, yeah, Mike McDaniel, I'm his little brother. I'm Josh McDaniel. What? You look like Josh McDaniel. He's got the nose with the glasses and the mustache.
Yeah. Hello, fellow youth.
What movie was that from? This isn't even a question for the comment. I don't remember.
No, it was a commercial. It was
okay. Hello, students.
Steve Buscemi.
Yeah.
How do you do, fellow kids?
What?
He's got the backwards hat and the skateboard.
Yeah.
Josh McDaniel strolling in. It's like, I'm Mike McDaniel. I'm his twin. Josh, hire me.
God.
I'm an offensive guru too.
But that running attack, that could be the difference in the game. People are thinking,
you can't load the box, right? You can't load the box. You can't do it. You got to be like 2 deep, 3. Like you got to have a deep safety. Like you just have to hope Spillane and company can handle it with 6 guys.
This is going to be a time where the coaching staff pulls Maxx Crosby aside and says, look, man, you need to do some stuff that's not on paper, stuff that we don't scheme for. Like you have to wreck this yourself. You have to wreck the line of scrimmage on your own for us to have a chance. And it's true. He just can't get pressure. He can't make players bounce outside because these 2 guys are 2 of the fastest running backs in the league.
Yeah.
So you can't let these guys bounce outside on you and just say, okay, well, he did his job and made them, bounce inside. No, he needs to make plays. Mm-hmm. Crosby needs to have a huge game for us to have a chance of stopping this running attack, because this running attack is pretty damn good.
So to keep things from being totally doomy and gloomy, again, we're one of the best teams in football. 4th best at stopping explosive plays, which is what the Dolphins excel at, right? Waddle and Hill, or either one of their great running backs breaking 1 for 50, right? We're very good at stopping that, which could be a game changer. And again, I know that, the 2 offenses we've recently played, but the Raiders defense has allowed on just touchdowns on just 3 of the last 35 drives in the last 2 games. Yeah, I get it. It was the Jets and Giants, but still, blind squirrels find nuts all the time. Just not against the Raiders recently. So there's that. And then on the flip side, how do you stop a really explosive offense that scores all the time? You keep them the hell off the field. We figured out feed Josh Jacobs, control the rock, control the clock, keep the turnovers low, and try to keep this from being a shootout as well as you possibly can. Because also the Dolphins have great pass rushers. They got like 4 dudes with like 5 sacks each or more. Like it's not like just trying to stop, just Joey Bosa, just trying to stop Maxx Crosby. Like they got like 4 dudes that can get to you to get to that.
Cameron Wilkins, Phillips, like they got guys, dude. They got
now their DBs aren't great. Jalen Ramsey's having a real off season. But like keeping this from being a shutout and trying to keep it from being like, all right, 8. Now, I think we're going to learn a lot of things about this team, right? It's like we talked about on the post game show for the Jets game when Antonio Pierce took over and it was the Giants. It's like, okay, terrible offense at home. Let's see what you got, and it was a blowout. Awesome, pass that test. Next game, Sunday Night Football, bright lights. The honeymoon kind of ended a little bit, right? That initial juice you get from watching like Josh McDaniel's assistant packing up pictures of his wife and like playbooks and like his whistle and crap out of his office, and you're all jacked watching that kind of fades right after a week. Still, beat the Jets, Sunday Night Football, primetime, at home. Great. Now you're on the road, one of the most explosive offenses in football. Now it's time. Now the ship has landed. Now we're brought back to earth a little bit. Now let's see what Antonio Pierce and company can do. Now let's see what Bo Hardy can do when he doesn't have a big lead that he doesn't have to worry about being in a shootout. Now there's a really good chance. We're going to say, all right, Aiden, you're going to have to win us this quarter, right? We need 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. We're going to need you to do it. We're going to need this defense to be like, all right, guys, we need a turnover. We got to have a turnover. We got to have 3 stops in a row. They've scored touchdowns on 3 straight drives. That has to stop now. This is now like feet to the fire, back against the wall. Antonio Pierce had his honeymoon phase, A+. A+ in the honeymoon phase. Could not have done better as a coach. Now you're 12-point underdogs on the road against one of the most explosive offenses of the last decade. What can you do here? This is the test.
So there's this 3-game stretch that we have coming up, right? So the last 2 games in this game against the Dolphins. Each game has presented us a different kind of a different problem, a different problem to solve. First one wasn't too big of a problem, but it's getting a little bit harder, right? Kind of like, you're playing a video game and you're beating all of the whack little fighters first, and then you have to beat the boss, right?
You beat Glass Joe and Mike Tyson's Punch Out.
Yeah,
now
right.
You're fighting the dude with that tiger.
The great tiger and a piston Honda. Like, you're beating all those guys.
Mm.
A team with an okay offense, and a kind of a bad offense and an okay defense. A team with a kind of a bad offense and a really good defense. Now a team with kind of an all right defense, but a killer offense, right? Yeah. So now we have to see different game plans, different parts of the team step up. It's going to tell a lot. But every test so far that has been given to Coach AP, he's been able to pass it. Mm-hmm. So what does passing mean? I just think if we keep the game close, even if we don't win, because look, I don't think anyone is out there saying that we're a better team talent-wise than the Dolphins. The Dolphins have been playing this way with the same coaches and the same thing this entire season. We haven't had that much time together to kind of figure out what we want to do. But if we're able to either beat them or keep it really close, it's going to tell a lot about the team and also about the coaching staff to be able to strategize.
Here's the injury report. And again, this is Wednesday's injury report, so very preliminary. Still got multiple days to try to figure this out. 4 players did not participate. Colton Miller still not practicing with that shoulder.
He's going to be out for a while. These shoulders are tough, especially for linemen.
They haven't put him on IR, which is promising. So if he doesn't play, that'll be 2 games of the 4. So that's a glimmer of hope. Dylan Parham is added to that list at guard. So now you've got 2 starting linemen with an issue. Amik Robertson, which we discussed, concussion. Can he get through that protocol? I know we're in the first few games of the season, there wasn't a single player that was put on concussion protocol that didn't miss at least 1 game with concussion. I don't know if that's still the case, but I know that for a while there it was.
No, wasn't Davante in concussion protocol? And he played?
Was it concussion protocol or injury?
I'm not sure. I thought it was.
Yeah, maybe.
Look at Van Roten. He's got everything wrong with him. What the hell?
Yeah, Van Roten's certain biceps, quad, and tricep. He's been lifting too hard.
Arm and leg.
Everyone else is limited. Okay, and then Curtis Bolton at linebacker sick. So that sounds like illness. That sounds like, okay, got the flu bug, ate the wrong taqueria, something like that. Got a stomach virus or something.
Well done. There.
Everyone else is still just kind of limited. So
Jakob is back.
Jakob's back, right? Full participation after his concussion. I can't imagine any of these limited guys not playing. Butler, Crosby, Diablo, Hobbs, Peters. Teamer's off IR, so hopefully he can play, which we're going to need him. We'll keep an eye on Colton, Dylan, and Amik. That'll be the tough one. Dolphins, a lot more did not participate. 2 of their wide receivers, not their 2 great ones, but 2 of them. Our boy, Alec Ingold, didn't participate with a foot injury. And then 2 linemen didn't participate. And our chain, again, he's limited. They haven't said one way or the other, like, is he like doubtful or hopeful or whatever to play this week? but it's looking like he might. So that's the injury report. I think we can, at least offensively, I think we can potentially bully the Fins the same way we bully the Jets.
That's our chance.
That's the thing, right?
I don't know that right now. Sorry, I don't know that right now. Aiden O'Connell can be Purdue Aiden O'Connell.
Yeah.
I don't know if he can be that guy yet. I think we can get there, but I don't think he can be that guy just yet.
12-point favorites, the Dolphins. I actually like the Raiders a lot on that number. I think 12 is way too much.
12 is a lot. A lot of points,
huge.
man.
That's a massive number. I really like the Raiders under 12 points. I'll probably put a couple units on that.
Okay.
12's a lot. 12's a lot. Hey, you made it to the end of our video. Great job. I know you want more. Go ahead and click the next video. And if you're feeling crazy, go ahead and subscribe.